Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. A couple things here. The never-coming stock market crash. Smart money is still waiting. Here's what I would do. So, again, I've talked about this before. Seeking Alpha is one of the best sites out there for market information. But this gentleman, my article coming, stock market crash, smart money is already ringing the death bell. It was by far my most successful piece on Seeking Alpha. The reaction to the article showed a certain sentiment among Seeking Alpha readers, which was characterized by doubts about the diverging market and economic conditions. So U.S. corporate profits, and guys, this is U.S. corporate profits. What's the date here? What's the date here? What's the date right there? Of what year? So what's happening here? So this is doing what's happening to the corporate profits right now, going up or going down? And when did well, let me go back here. How far do we have to go to get back to ground even here? To go all the way, because we're almost all the way back to what? Yeah, pre-COVID. So a lot of money is still on the sidelines. So if we summarize things, the real economy and the stock markets have moved enormously apart. But what is not unusual? Sometimes the economy chases the stock markets. Sometimes it's the other way around. But what doesn't quite fit in this picture is the fact that an enormous amount of capital is still on the sidelines. We still have the same picture here that I described in my last article. The total net assets in money market funds have reached a plateau, as I've said in my previous article. Because, guys, we've talked about this, too, in our calls. Is there a huge amount of money being invested in the marketplace right now to drive the market up? Is it a huge amount of money that's being poured into the market? You guys are so smart. Yep, no, it's not. It's not. It's just a small, which volume is extremely low, which means that these the Robin Hood millennials that are day trading in their basements can, when the volume is low, how much can they change the marketplace or the stock market? A lot. So that's what's happening. So I'll go back here, finish this last sentence. As I explained in my previous article, money market funds are managed with the aim of maintaining a highly stable asset base through liquid investments. This includes cash securities, bonds with a term of less than 12 months, and although private retailers also have access, they are the minority. So where is most money market funds coming from? Retail client, regular investors like you and I, or institutional clients? Institutional clients. Money market fund is dominated by institutional investors, banks, insurance companies, and government markets. These players have the most idea, or so they think. Okay, so he's saying there's an argument here to be made. These players have the most idea, or so they think, of what's going on with the marketplace. But look at what's happened to money market. So starting in June, what started happening? June of last year, not this year, last year. What had happened with institutional money? Really back all the way to 2018. They started saying this market is too rich, and after COVID, what did they do? They moved to cash. They moved to cash. Now, since they moved to cash, and then have they poured money back into the marketplace, or has it been pretty much even? So after they moved all that money they moved all this money to the money market, have they gone in to the marketplace, or is it still sitting right there in the money markets? Sitting right there. So they're not participating in this run-up in the marketplace. Now, the question is, though, is the money on the sideline smart money? Are institutional investors the smart money? Well, there is probably no answer to the question of which all the money is waiting on the sidelines. However, we could perhaps answer this question directly if we knew who was standing there with all the liquidity in hand. I've already said that there are certainly signs that we're dealing with the millennials who, out of boredom and certain greed, are pouring money into the market and investing their money there, some of it at high risk. We currently live in a world where 13-year-olds are celebrated for having made several $10,000 in options. We live in a world where stocks are rising, even though more and more institutional investors are withdrawing their money from the companies. To this end, I took a look at particularly what performance. Excuse me a second. Fall allergy season. Sorry about that. To this end, I took a look at particularly well-performing stocks and examined how the institutional investors have behaved. It is notable that Many of these high flyers had a capital drain from the institutional investors. Tesla has gone straight up, right? What were institutional investors doing? Buying or dumping Tesla while it was going up? Buying or dumping? Apple, buying or dumping? Amazon, buying or dumping? AMD, Nvidia, Facebook, buying or dumping? Yeah. So all these stocks that are going crazy, Tesla and FANG going straight up, is being driven not by institutional investors. Now, guys, how much brain power do institutional investors have as compared to a millennial in their basement on Robinhood? How much calculating power? How much experience level? How much everything do they have? So do we really think that a millennial in their basement on Robinhood knows what the hell is going on compared to institutional investors? Yeah, no. So this is another warning sign that this market is not. Now there's a good thing here. When the market finally tanks, and it will tank, what will these institutional investors do with all this money market funds? Buy. So, but they want to see what? Do they want to buy with the way that political, coming up on the election, where, my God, we could end up in a civil war based on the way everybody's at each other's throats. Do they want to buy in that situation? Do they want to buy with COVID and the flu coming in the season where everybody's going to be moving indoors and sharing the germs again? Do they want to buy? They don't want to buy in it. So they're going to wait for some of this stuff to shake out. But when should we get back into the marketplace heavily? When institutional money is, because when all this money, institutional money, dumps back in, it will drive the market up, but they want no part of it right now. So do we know when that's going to happen? If we don't know when that's going to happen, how do we help our clients through this uncertain period of time? Yeah, that's right. 50-50, FIA and market, 50-50. The new rules of marketing, 2020 edition. So the newest generation of customers is highly alert, especially if their influence as cultural drivers, and they will quickly shut down any brand they perceive as invasive. Let's dive into the new rules of marketing. So what they're saying is the more that the people think that you're marketing to them, the better that's going to work or the worse that's going to work. The worse. Now, both baby boomers and millennials, are they sophisticated purchasers? Are they sophisticated purchasers of things? Yes, they are very sophisticated. Why? How many times are they marketed to? That's why, as soon as you come up to a millennial or boomer and you're selling a car, like, hey, that's a great shirt you got on there. Are they impressed by that? Do they think that you're trying to be nice, or what do they think you're doing? Yeah. How quickly can a millennial or a boomer smell out somebody trying to sell them something? That's why the old, hey, you know what? I love Zig Ziglar. I love who's the other big sales guru? Tom, help me. Somebody says Tom, help me. Hopkins. Yep. Thanks, Bob. So they were terrific for pre-boomers, pre-millennials. But how does that old sales shtick work with those guys? How does the old sales shtick? Well, you gotta develop that rapport. Show them you got things in common. You gotta be closing soon and early. How does that work with baby boomers and millennials? Or does that completely make them go away from you? Doesn't. It works poorly. So the new rules are that while marketing landscape is ever changing, there are some foundational elements that are timeless. Static ideals are not going to become obsolete. For instance, one of the unchangeable rules of marketing is that you must use personal context in your marketing efforts to receive the highest quality results. The difference now is how you plan to deliver the context in a relevant way. So what are they talking about here? So you probably heard that having a good list is 70% of your marketing. A good list is 70% of the marketing. So what do they mean by a good list? What do they mean by a good list when it comes to marketing? It's a list that's very targeted. So if you're selling dog food, you want a list of people who have good money, live in homes, and are 60 to 75. If you're selling dog food, what do you want that list to be? Dog owners, that's right. So you got to talk to them on the context. Throwing out large nets in today's world is not going to be nearly as effective as targeting a very small niche. This means that you need to be aware of the needs of your client and consumer more than ever before. Access to the internet is complete integration into our culture means that your customers have a greater ability to research exactly who you are, and they aren't afraid to use it. So what this is saying is that when they look at your website, should you have a general website? Well, that's a hard thing. Yes and no. So if you're doing seminars, why are people going to your website? If you're doing seminars, why are people going to your website? That's right, David. They're double checking on you. Is this a valid person? Is this a professional person? Does this person look like they know what they're doing? So it's okay to have a generalized professional looking website if you're doing seminars, because all they're doing, instead of driving by your office to see what kind of office building you're in, they're going to the internet to drive by your office to see what kind of website you have. Make sure that you are not offending them, that you're not selling too hard, that it looks like you're professional, that it looks like you talk in language they can understand. That's what you're doing. But in today's world right now, with COVID, website or seminars aren't very productive at this point. So now, what are people going to websites for? They want to see. Well, you're hoping that if you have a great website and you're using Google appropriately, that when they're searching for something, your name is going to be one of the top organic searches. So therefore your marketing team needs to be as active and alert of consumers trying to target, and it means your marketing approach needs to be genuine, relevant, and customer focused. So this is the heart of modern marketing: genuine, relevant, and customer focused. So what is relevant to the people we're after? What is customer focused about the people we're after? What are they after? What do they want? The people we want to work with, yeah, they want honesty, but more in particular, can they tell if you're honest from your website? No. Now, I've seen here it says steady, safe income or safety. How many other advisors are offering safety and steady income? Everyone does. So can we use that? No. Everybody. If some of you have said none of them, guys, how many other advisors tell their clients they're going to give them safe, secure income? If you don't think other advisors are not doing that, then you got to read. So the problem is, if our website is offering something every other advisor offers, how effective is our website? Not very. Not at all. So what can we offer them that they want that no other advisor is offering them? What can we offer them? So what can we offer them? Non-financial, yeah, that's right, Bob. The unfortunate thing is, how sexy is the non-financial? I mean, we have to sit down with them with a 21-point checklist to have them understand that, that non-financial stuff that I didn't think was sexy, holy cow, that is sexy. I do need that. We have to sit down with them and do that. But on a website, can you ever make the case that the non-financial on a website can you make the case that it's that's right, it's not a draw, it's not sexy? We can do that one-on-one, and that's what we do with the 21-point checklist. How about the 21-point checklist? Can we make that sexy? No, that sounds just like what? What's the 21-point checklist sound like? Yeah, it could sound boring, but it also sounds just like what? Oh yeah, my guy's done a financial plan for me. It sounds like that's some sort of financial plan. My guy's done that for me. So can we offer that? Guys, put your thinking caps on. Put your thinking caps on. What do we have that that people need and want that nobody else is talking about? And so I will go back and say it is a non-financial thing. It is in that it does not basically deal with their investments. What do we offer them that nobody else is offering them? Power of attorney isn't sexy. It is the case, Tom, but it's not sexy until we are able to sit down with them and show them, oh my God, that's a problem. Dudes, what is our elevator speech? What is our elevator speech? I work with who? What do you do? Dudes, this should roll right off your tongue. This should be in all your marketing, should be in all your seminars. It should be on your tongue so that when you're at a party and somebody asks what you do, this is what you tell them. And what do you provide? Everybody's got, quite a few people are saying, born before 1968, yeah. Well, what do we give them? What are the two things that we give them? Not electronically filing documents. Again, sitting down with them, we can make that sexy. But are you going to be able to make file electronic documents sexy on the website? No. Oh, well, I'm glad I'm talking about this. Guys, not one single person has come up with this. Where do I have it? Here we go. I get homeowners born before 1960 or 1957 or whatever age you're looking for. In Olmsted County, 21 little benefits are not owed but not receiving. First of all, how many of your competitors are saying that? Okay. How many of them are asking them, have you applied for the program to protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income at your death? Are they talking about that? Have you applied for the program that will cover 2 years of long-term care costs without paying a cent in annual premiums? Are they talking about that? So when it comes to marketing right now, first of all, some people said, hey, they want a safe and secure income. Is there anything, well, I don't know if it's safe and secure right now, everything's going on, but as far as historically, is there anything safer, more secure than Social Security income? No. And how many people, even when you ask this question, say, yeah, I've looked at that program? In 20 years, guess how many people have said, yes, we've looked at that program? None. Guess how many people have said this? None. So where should this be on your website? Where should this be on your marketing? Remember, this is the two things that we emphasize at our seminars too. So I'm going to go back here. So that's how you're going to be genuine. Is that relevant to them? Is that customer focused? Is that yes, it's very relevant, very customer service, but focused. But more importantly, is it something they can say, oh, I think my guy covered that, or are they going to say, my guy never covered that? See, if you do the 21-point checklist, oh, I think my guy did a financial plan like that. If you talk about saving fees, yeah, I think my guy did that for me. If you talk about getting a higher rate of return, I think my guy did that for me. If you talk about getting a safe, secure income, yeah, I think my guy did that for me. When you do, have you applied for the program that will replace half your spouse's Social Security when they die? Will they say, oh, yeah, I think my guy covered that? Will they say that in their heads? See, that's what you need. You need to be black and white assured that they won't, because otherwise, no matter anything else we do, lower their taxes, oh, my guy does that. Lower their fees, oh, my guy does that. Get them better investments, oh, my guy does that. Get them safe and secure income, oh, my guy does that. You need to have things that they won't say, oh, my guy does that. Instead, you have to have them say, wait a minute, my guy's never talked to me about that. Maybe I should talk to this guy. Does that make sense? So Other things you need to look at is how you treat people reflects on you heavily. How is your phone answered? If you have somebody answer your phone, you need to be querying or have relatives call, friends call, and give you a report card on how that phone is being answered, especially if it's not being answered in your office so you can hear what your receptionist is doing. Because if it's answered rudely, what do people think about your company? If it's answered in a bored fashion, if it's answered in a hurried fashion, what are they thinking about your company? Then that's something that you don't control directly, so you better be monitoring that. Now, things you do control directly is how quickly do you respond to their requests? How well do you listen? With the new science, people with money, they're looking for what? People who have great ideas or people who listen? People who understand them. Which one do they want? People who have all great sorts of great ideas or people who understand and listen to them? That's right, listen. How are people treated while in your office? Now, we have a little program to treat them like gold that only costs about $200 total. What's that program called? Are all of you doing it and using it? Very good, Dale. Dale knows what it is. Not epidemic. Epidemic is good, Kevin, but not epidemic. Signs is part of it, Tom. Yeah, so it's the wow. It's the wow treatment. Now, again, a lot of people aren't coming to your office now, but how many of you before that COVID have a welcome sign that says, welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Smith outside your office? I want everybody to say yay, yay. All the people that have that, I want Y's right now. Put Y's into the 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 150. So what else can you do? So guys, it costs you about $20 to get a little marquee that you put outside your door to say, welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Welcome to Mrs. and Mr. Jones. Well, how does that make you feel when they come in, when they see that? That's right, Bob. It makes them feel special. What other things can you do? You give them a drink list. Do you want tea, coffee? What do you want in your coffee? Do you want water? Do you want whatever? You have a drink list. This is all in the wow under the resources on the website. Now, the great thing is once they've checked that on the menu, you put that menu in their folder. Why do you put that menu in the folder? Because the next time they come in, you look at that prior to them coming in and say, I think last time you took coffee with a sugar and cream. Is that what you'd like this time? How would that make them feel if you said that to them? I think last time you wanted tea. Do you want tea again? How would that make them feel? If you walk into a bar and they remember what you ordered last time, if you walk into a restaurant and they remember what you ordered last time, how does that make you feel? Amazing. And see, we live in do they really think one advisor is smarter than another? Do people really think one advisor is smarter than another? No. Because if he was, guess what? He'd have all clients in town, and he probably wouldn't be taking them on with only their $300,000. He'd be working with people with $30 million. So instead, they're looking for somebody who puts their concerns above the advisors. Now, you might be thinking, what is knowing what the drink is? Why would that mean putting their concerns better? What does that say about you if you know what they drank last time they came in? Details? Yep. What else? You listen? Yes. You care? All of those things. You're a detail-oriented person. You listen. You care. You're paying attention. You're understanding. So you think, what's the big deal? I'm a financial advisor. I'm not a waiter or waitress. Why do I need to know what they're doing? But guys, do you see what the messaging is? Do you see what the messaging is with that kind of stuff? So we live in a very experience-oriented, people don't want information, they want infotainment. People aren't expecting you to be a genius from their investments. They expect you to put their concerns first. They expect to be treated like royalty when they come in. Okay, so be aware of how you're treating your clients, and then identify who are your clients. Do you know exactly if I said describe in a paragraph your best client, how many lines would that be? How many lines of description would that be? The more lines of description you have, the more successful you're going to be and the less successful you're going to be. Do you want a general understanding, or do you want to know exactly who they are, what their ages are, what their job experience was, what their education level is, what their main concerns are? Do they have grandchildren? Do they have, now again, not every single client is going to fit that exact thing, but the more you know your target, the closer you're going to get to where you want to go. You may not always be on target at the same time, but the more you know your target, your marketing is going to be focused on that person, so you're going to be attracting that type of person to you. If you use general type marketing, and that's a sad thing, is that it's kind of counterintuitive. We think, well, if I get too targeted on my marketing, I'm going to be less successful. I'm going to throw out the broadest net possible. So that I don't miss anybody. That doesn't work. You want to be as targeted as possible. See, targeting is what gets people to respond. General type marketing does not get people to respond. Does that make sense? So, do you add value to people? What kind of deeply ingrained pain points do my clients have? What are some pain points that clients have? We've talked about a couple of them. You've mentioned, you've said they're afraid about their income. They're afraid of running out of money. What else? What other kind of pain do they have? Long-term care, that's a pain. Health. What kind of deeply ingrained pain points do my have? What do they lose sleep over at night? What would cause them all sorts of stress? Do I offer products and services and other solutions to solve these problems? Which keywords are going to attract and engage customers and support inbound marketing approach? What kind of in-depth research do I do when I need creating a marketing persona that accurately reflects my potential clients? Again, all these things here I've done for you. So you want to show your customers how your business products, services solve their problems in a way that acknowledges them as not more than a dollar sign. Stay current without appearing opportunistic. Your clients are smart and they can tell when you're being real with your sense of understanding, or you're just milking the moment. Continue well-researched, milking the moment. Like right now, if you're talking about COVID, do they think you're really concerned about them, or that you're milking the moment? So one of the things, Bob brings up a couple of topics, taxation and market losses. Again, what's the problem with taxation and market losses, guys? If that's your focus, what's the problem with it? Everyone else is doing it. So, Bob, if you're talking about lowering their taxes and helping them avoid market losses, how many other advisors, Bob, are singing the same tune on that? Everyone. Yeah, so you cannot be those things. And we can't be talking about COVID right now, maybe mentioning it, but if your whole marketing pitch is on COVID, they just think, oh, this guy's just trying to milk it. And then it said, continue to provide well-researched content for your clients to drive organic growth and update that isn't working to keep your quality consistent. Guys, we've had this elevator conversation. We've had this for 20 years. Is it now? The only thing that's changed is this date, because we keep changing that. Is this still as valid today as it was 20 years ago? So how fluent should you be on this elevator conversation? Where should this elevator conversation appear? How focused should you be on this? Because the other thing that's great about this is what? Are you telling people they need to leave their current advisor when you talk about a program to protect your wife from Social Security? Are you telling them they need to leave their advisor when you talk about a program that pays for 2 years long-term care costs? If you talk about lowering their fees, guess what you're radioing to them? Hey, I can lower your fees, so you should what? I can lower your fees, so you should what? Leave your current advisor. That's right, Kevin. And how many of them want to do that? None. These two things are so powerful. And do the affluent still worry about losing Social Security, guys? Do the affluent still worry about long-term care costs? and nobody else. So there's so many reasons. First of all, we're not getting into a conversation. You need to leave your current advisor. Number two, these are things that even the affluent think about. Number three is nobody else is talking about these things. So how fluent should you be on these things and on this elevator conversation? Extremely. Make sense? Okay, so today we're going to talk about interest rate volatility and the proper way to have that conversation with people. So we're going to do a tape review of that. This is what they should be, these are the things that they should be going through. So let's take a listen on how the advisor does.
So it's important to kind of know, because if you knew this, if you have lower turnover, would that help your return?
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're not paying high.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their pocket.
Yeah, so lower return helps your ultimate benefit, right?
Right.
So that's the finish up of turnover. It's sad because did the lady say what we wanted her to say? Did the client say what we wanted her to say at the end of turnover? Listen more carefully. Listen carefully again, and ask yourself: is she saying not what the advisor, but is the client saying what you want her to say?
So it's important to kind of know, because if you knew this, if you have lower turnover, would that help your return?
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're not paying high.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their pocket.
Yeah, so lower return helps your ultimate benefit, right?
Right.
So did the client say what we wanted her to say? Guys, what do we want the client to say? What do we want the client to say? Okay, my guy didn't tell him. No, this is turnover, not bonds, guys. This is we're not yet to interest rate volatility. This is the end of because before we roll into bonds, we have turnover. So she's talking. This is the very end of turnover before we get into the bond script. So listen one more time.
So it's important to kind of know, because if you knew this, if you have lower turnover, would that help your return?
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're not paying high.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their.
What should you say right there? What did the client just say right there? Growing what? I'll play it again. You got to be really good at this. The reason I'm going back on this, Nick's got it. You got to be, the reason I'm going back and pounding this is because when you do your 15-minute review, these are the kind of things you need to look for. Mike's got it. Good job, Mike. So let me play it again.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their.
So she said, the investment's growing for your benefit, not for theirs, if you have low turnover. So the client's got it. She understands that, if you have low turnover, then your investment's going to grow for you instead of growing for the other advisor. Now, it's amazing when I listen to tapes that sometimes hasn't a client handed her the golden egg on a platter? She did, but listen to what the advisor does here.
Okay. Yeah, so lower return helps your ultimate benefit, right?
Right.
So what is the advisor emphasizing here when it comes to turnover? We're not yet yes, the main focus is going to be on the bonds. This is the very end of the turnover, but it's a lesson I want you to learn. What was the client or what was the advisor focused on? Okay, let's go back and this is an important thing. If we always spend on this, the whole hour on this should be. Okay, let's do it one more time.
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're not paying high.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their pocket.
Yeah, so lower return helps your ultimate benefit, right?
Right.
So Jeff, how would you coach this advisor if you heard the end of the turnover and this is what happened? Well, I would say
first of all, does she understand that turnover, does the client understand that turnover is a problem? And I think we can all agree that the client understands that, yes, turnover is a problem. It's eating into the money that I make. Does she understand that the advisor is responsible for that problem? The answer is probably no. She never said that. The advisor is never any part of that conversation. The problem with turnover is very clear, I think, to everybody, the advisor and the client. But who's responsible for it, I think, is still up in the air. If it was me and I was on the receiving end of that, I would think to myself, okay, I need to go back to my guy and tell him I want low turnover stuff.
That's right. But and then at the end, what is the advisor? Here, let me play it again, just the last part. What is the advisor, when the client gave her the golden egg there on a silver platter, mixing my metaphors, that this is a problem, what is the client, or what does the advisor quickly jump in and do then? Just a second here.
It's growing. Your investment is growing for your benefit, not for their pocket.
Yep, so lower return helps your ultimate benefit, right?
Right.
So where's the client's emphasis, Jeff? I'm sorry, where's the advisor's emphasis?
It's on the fact that we need to start making sure that we've got low turnover so that we can be benefiting you.
Yeah. So guys, can they fix the turnover with their current advisor, guys? Yeah, they will. They can. So if all we do is point out that they have a problem, what are they going to do, Jeff?
They're going to go back to their advisor and say, hey, I want low turnover funds.
And he's going to say, no, I won't do that.
Yeah, of course he's going to say, yeah, no problem. That's what I always tell guys. Well, sure, if he gives them the finger and says, I'm not going to do that for you, well, then they're going to go to you. But he's not going to do that. We all know he's not going to do that.
Yes. So, guys, what the advisor is right now saying, look, you got this problem, this problem, this problem. If you show them they have 21 problems, guys, what will the client do? If you show them they have, Nick's got it. Very good. Mark's got it. So Nick said nothing. Mark said take it to the guy. That's right. If all you do, that's right. Now he's getting it now. So is the 21-point checklist problems about showing they have problems? No, because anybody can fix their problems, including their current advisor. What's the one and only problem their current advisor cannot fix? Yes, the trust. They cannot fix the problem. If their trust is broken, the client discovers that they're withholding information to make themselves more money. They can't fix that, especially if you show that 5, 10, 15, 20, 21 times. There's no way they can fix that. So the appropriate thing after she said, to make them more money. So then I would say, so why do you think the advisor didn't show you the funds that had low turnover? Because all he wanted to do was make money on me, and he was in high turnover to put more money in his own pocket. Now do I have them if the client says that? Did I do well if the client says that? Yeah, so that's what we're looking for. So that was the end of this. So if you're a betting person, as we go through this interest rate volatility, what do you think the emphasis with the advisor is going to be on? That their advisor is not trustful, or the fact that having bonds is dangerous in a rising interest rate environment? So let's listen to see what happens here.
So that's one area with the fees. I'm going to kind of go on here. Another area of concern is interest rate volatility. So if we look at these, you have mutual funds, but you also have some bond funds too. So if we let me talk about how bonds and bond funds work for a little bit. So if we kind of draw a teeter-totter with bonds and bond funds, or bonds and interest rates, if interest rates are down here, bond value
first of all, as you're listening here, I won't stop all over the place, but is she asking open-ended questions or telling, preaching, and teaching right now? For these first three, 1, 2, 3, is she telling, preaching, teaching, or is she asking open-ended questions? Yeah, she's telling, preaching, and teaching. And what's the problem with that? Guys, I was in the financial industry probably 4 years before I really understood how fixed investments worked. So is fixed investments easier to understand or more difficult than stocks? They're actually more difficult than stocks to really understand. So most people don't get it. So how important is it that we walk through this step by step and make sure the client's understanding it along the way? We've talked about this before. How many open-ended questions do I ask when I'm with a client per minute? Me personally. Yeah, 2 to 5. If you're grading yourself, what's the minimum you have to ask per minute to know you're doing it well? Open-ended questions. What's the minimum per minute you need to ask to make sure that you're doing it yourself, doing well yourself? At least 2 a minute. If you're doing 2 a minute, in fact, all the guys that I've in the system in the last 20 years that have done or made over $1 million a year, if we listen to their tapes, guess how many open-ended questions they were asking per minute on average? 2 or more. 2 or more. So that's what. So as we're listening to this, pay attention to is she asking open-ended questions or not as well. So 2 things: is she asking open-ended questions, or is she telling, teaching? Also, is she emphasizing the problem with bonds or the problem with the advisor? So here we go.
Values are up here, right? Bond values are higher. So if I have a traditional bond and I keep it to maturity, it doesn't really matter what happens on this teeter-totter, because as long as you keep it to maturity, you have the guaranteed value at maturity and a guaranteed rate, right? Mm-hmm. But can we always keep a bond to maturity? I mean, sometimes it's 20, 30 years it's maturity, right? So let's take an example. Let's just say, for a hypothetical example, I had an individual bond and it's a $10,000 bond. I'm making 5%, okay? So that means I'm making $500 a year, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all good. I'm making $500.
Do we have any clue right now? Has the client at this point given us any clear picture that she understands what's going on here? All I've heard is and what are is worth? Nothing. So this is a problem because we have no clue whether she's following us or not. So here we go.
$100 a year. If I wanted to go sell my bond and the interest rates are only at 4%, could I do pretty good? Because if I'm making 5% and you could only get 4% in the bank, I would be doing pretty good, right? My bond would be in demand. They would want my higher paying bond, right? But let's just say interest rates go up and they went up to 6%. So if I could get 6% in the bank, but I'm only making 5% and I want to get out of my bond, what do I have to do to sell my bond in order to get out?
Get money.
Yeah, I got to discount it, right? Yeah. So if we want to discount it, what we do is the easy calculation is you take your annual income. So if we were making 5% on $10,000, that's $500, right? And we times it by the current interest rate. So the current interest rate down here is 6, right? So divided by 6%, and that equals to $8,333. So if I want to get out of my $10,000 bond and the interest rate just went up 1%, right? Mm-hmm. I'm down almost $1,700 to get out, right?
Yep.
Now that's on a traditional bond. Now, in our interest rates, would you say we're low right now, or do you think that we're
pretty low?
Yeah. So if interest rates go up, all they have to do is go up 1%, and then you can see just on a $10,000 bond, I'd be down
$1,700.
Now, if I could keep the bond, I'd be fine. But if I had to get out of the bond, I would too. So when you have bond funds, do you think everybody that owns that bond fund is going to keep the bond until those bonds mature? Or do you think the bond funds get sold in and out?
They're in and out,
right.
Sure.
So if a bond fund gets sold in and out, when the interest rates goes up, what happens to the bond value?
They go down.
They go down. Now, that's where I'm a little bit concerned, too, because you have a high exposure to bonds, which means you have a high exposure to interest rate volatility. If interest rates at an all-time low, if interest rates just go up 1%, see what kind of an impact that can have on your account. So, did they ever explain that to you, the interest?
I don't think so.
But it's kind of helpful to know how that works, so that we'd like to have interest rates go up, right? But if interest rates go up, you have a big
So she went from, "Were you ever shown this?" to, "Hey, was this helpful?" So was it explained to you? No. Was this helpful? She's stressing what? Aren't I giving you great information? Guys, how many people move money to you when you give them great information? None. None. Or 10%, 1 out of 10, right? Because you're right place, right time.
Well, when interest rates go up, I would expect so would my earnings and whatever.
Yeah, so your stock portion probably will go up a little bit, but what's going to happen to?
So there's a great indication. Does he really get how bonds work? Does that guy get how bonds work? Hey, but when interest rates go up, all my earnings are going to go up too. Does he get how bonds work? No. So the problem is he didn't even understand that teeter-totter explanation, did he? No. So when you tell, sell, preach, teach, it's going to leap up. The lady understands pretty much what's happening out of pure luck, but now she's lost the guy, and he's got things completely backwards. And when they get it backwards, can they start to argue with you? Because he's kind of arguing with her a little bit there, right? He's saying, well, so what? All my earnings are going to go up. I'm going to make more money.
Well, you would thought would have a lesser degree or what you call it, a decreased rate of income or whatever.
And the bond values then are also going to probably be going, because if interest rates go up, bond values go because they function on a teeter-totter, right? So if interest rates are low, bond values are high. If interest rates go up, bond values go down, right? So just wanted to point that out too, because there's quite a bit of that. And the other thing that I would somewhat worry, or that makes me cautious with some of that too, is some of your bond funds. And okay, so here's this is an account, one of your accounts that has bonds. This is on a CAS right now. And we can go through all of them. We'll just kind of do the one. But you see this has a high portion. This is mainly bonds, okay? So it has that interest rate flexibility. But if you see here, anything rated BB or below is considered a junk bond. So how much of that fund is in junk bonds?
60% of it.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good portion of it.
And so if we're going to invest in bonds, we want to invest in high yield bonds, right?
Yeah. I'm assuming there's money to be made in junk bonds, but
you think
you got to play the game.
Yeah, and then is the risk.
So again, guys, is he agreeing with her or is he arguing with her? Not like, hey, you're wrong. He's nicely saying what? Well, yeah, it's junk bonds, but there's a game being played there, and if you do it right, you can make money. But why is he making excuses like this? Why is he trying to say, I know you're making me look stupid here, but I know I'm doing okay because you can make money this way. Why is he doing that? Yeah, but he's protecting his pride, right? Why is it happening, though? Why is he trying to save face? Why? That's right. She's not blaming the advisor for one thing. Also, when you tell, sell, preach, and teach, see, here's the thing. If I say, man, my wife, I can't, she's a really piece of work. So all she does is sit around in her curlers and eat bonbons all day. And then she expects me to come home and take care of the kids. And, I work all day. She wants me to take care of kids and do the grocery shopping. I don't understand what she does all day. And, boy, my wife, she's a real wench. And you jump in and start saying, yeah, man, she's a real wench. What do I say? Whoa, dude. That's my wife you're talking about. See, I can say that my wife is bad. You say she's bad, we got a problem. I can say that I'm stupid. You say I'm stupid, we got a problem. I can say I'm clumsy. You say I'm clumsy, we got a problem. So the whole thing about motivational interviewing is what? We ask tiny little questions where the client realizes that they're doing things incorrectly or they don't understand things or that things are not as they thought. But who's telling them that, guys? Who is telling them that? With motivational interviewing, who they tell themselves. When you tell them, you got to what? I had to learn this. When I was making 50 grand a year, I was doing a lot of these things, guys. When I was making 50 grand a year, I was doing a lot of these things, but it was me doing them. And when I would point these things out, I won the argument. They understand that they were stupid, but what they do? Did they admit that they were stupid, or did they fight me? They fought me. You know, when they went home, they understood they were stupid, but they weren't going to admit it to me. So the purpose of motivational interviewing is letting them discover it for themselves. If you don't let them discover for themselves, guess what you're going to get? An argument. So let's just finish up the last few seconds of this and see if she gets what she needs. We can already guess, but.
Fire and junk.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So that would be my other concern on some of them. There's quite a bit of junk fire. So that's kind of, you know, I know we're taking some time, but the other area we want to talk about here is your investment weighting. Okay.
So what did she get for interest rate? All that time she spent, 5 minutes. What did she get for interest rate risk? That's right, Bob. Nothing. That's right, Nick. Nothing. The purpose here to show them they have interest rate risk? No. Jeff, what is the purpose of every single one of these items?
To get them to say that the advisor withheld this from me on purpose. And he did this, he recommended this so that he could make money at my expense. You always have to bring the advisor in, because if it's about the investment, the reality is all investments have advantages and disadvantages, so all you're going to get into is an argument about whether it's good or bad. And the truth is it's both. So no one wins that argument. So if all you're trying to do is say you have bad investments or your investments could be better, it's not going to work. We'll just have to agree to disagree. What we can agree on is that our advisor never told us these things.
Right. And can that be fixed?
No.
Maybe.
That can't be fixed.
If the advisor didn't tell me, that could be fixed. What's the additional thing that we need there, Jeff? Besides
he did it on
tell
purpose.
Me. Yes. Yeah, he didn't tell me, not because he made a mistake. That's right. Not because he made a mistake, not because he didn't know, but he withheld on purpose because he could make more money by withholding that information. That's not forgivable. Does that make sense? So guys, I've been doing these tapes, taking one piece out about once a month and doing these reviews more in depth. Does this help to do these once a month so you can see and hear things? Super. Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for being on today, and appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you all next Monday. Have a terrific week. Thanks, everybody.